about wanting to partner with. 6 of the last 7 pieces of land that they've announced released for private companies to build affordable housing did not get bids because they've released the wrong land in the wrong places. We as a good government, will spend the housing funding that we receive from national government instead of sending it back and not building the houses. And we will use our own land and our own balance sheet and our own financial resources to build more and to build faster. We'll build city-owned, rent-stabilized blocks of flats on public land rather than selling that land off to private developers as is currently happening, as if we have a fire sale. Here's a simple test of whether the city is really fair. Does it fix a pothole in some suburbs within hours, and other suburbs it takes weeks or months? I was in Westbank this afternoon. A woman complained about a water leak that she had reported for 8 months. In my street, when the water pipe bursts, the city is there within hours. Does a fire engine get to a shack in Khayelitsha in the same amount of time as it gets to a house in Constantia? And the answer in Cape Town is no. So we pledge one standard for every street, for every suburb, for every community. And this is not because we're generous, it's because basic service delivery is not a favor, it's a right. And safety follows the same logic. We have tried more boots on the ground. Today, when I was in Westbank, I saw the army drive past me. We have the army, we have SAPS, we have LEAP. We still have this prevalent, horrible murder and violent crime problem in our city. This crime problem is concentrated, it's not random. It's not coincidental where it happens. It doesn't happen where I live. It's concentrated exactly where there's inadequate housing and inadequate community amenities and community services and community programs. And these communities that have been neglected for years is where this crime is prevalent. And so we cannot police our way out of it. We need to build our way out of it. Professional, demilitarized, community-centered law enforcement, and then we need to add real investment in the public spaces and facilities that young people will have somewhere to go. Cape Town's job strategy today is almost entirely focused on one thing: call center outsourcing. There's nothing wrong with it, but it traps people in what I've started to call the working poor. People are employed, but they're still stuck on the wrong side of the economy because the kinds of jobs that we're creating are not creating a living wage. So we must bring back and expand public works programs in the city, for example. When I was the NACO member for Transport and Urban Development, we started programs like women-only road repair teams. And those teams we expanded to eventually 13 of them across the city.
3 minutes.
We put industrial land to industrial use. The city of Cape Town is selling off industrial land right now. Part of that 53 properties that were auctioned included industrial land. Instead of using it to provide incubated spaces for trades to operate from. We will back cooperatives and street traders and small traders and not focus on enforcement with raids and impounding their goods. And none of this stuff will work without power being in the hands of people, as you said earlier. And right now, sub-councils exist across the city of Cape Town. They are very expensive to run and they have absolutely no powers. Public participation has also become a tick box or box-ticking exercise. And what communities actually say is often ignored. So we'll give sub-councils real powers and real budgets. We'll open the Municipal Public Accounts Committee, the equivalent to SCOPA, the bid adjudication committees, the Municipal Planning Tribunal, which we've now heard is completely captured, needs to be open to public scrutiny. And we'll give every single ward a real say in how their own money is spent. I know all of this can work because I was trying to build part of it And I watched it get torn up by people who want to keep things exactly as they've always been in the past. For them, they measure success by whether a property value rises in value. For a family struggling to pay rates, buy electricity, put food on the table, that's a threat, and it's a threat that we have to end together. So this November, Cape Town has a choice. We can manage more of the same gracefully, as I spoke about earlier, or we can have a city that actually delivers for everyone, not just parts of it, and those parts that already have everything they need. So in the end, I want to say, sorry, my mouth is dry, I'm Brett Heron, and I'm asking for the chance to finish what we started. Thank you very much.
Can we give him a hand? Thank you, Brett. I just want to say good news and bad news. At 1824, we only went live. So we missed half of yours, we missed yours completely. But it will be on. I know one of the campaign managers is here and she's like, Tadun, we are recording simultaneously, so the video will be out in 3 days. And so I just want to apologize to the Cape Flats family, for those that are on YouTube, there was a glitch and glitches happen. So really sorry, Roger. You're going to have to use that PK power forgiveness tonight. But yes, so just an apology. Uncle Stan, do you want to say anything to the Cape Flats?
Please do share the live. I do apologize. Technical things do happen. You can ask Wesley. So, but we are now, and you guys are welcome to share it with your people in groups. Thank you so much. Who's next?
I'm going to do one more, and then I'll give over to you, Uncle Stan. And so, this gentleman says, "Die Kaap is ons land." We have a culture and a history that has been built over hundreds of years. We are not going to let the ANC, the DA, or economic migrants from the Eastern Cape come here and destroy our home. Cape Exit is the only answer, Mr. Jack Miller.
Thank you very much. Okay, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and to expect a different result. So for the last 32 years, the ANC has been in control of the national government. The DA has been in control for the last 2 decades of the Western Cape and the city of Cape Town. And they have together driven this country into the ground. So people refer to South Africa as a country, but it's actually a very new country. The Union of South Africa was forced on us by the British Empire in 1910. The Cape was independent in different shapes and forms for almost 300 years prior to that. We built a culture, a nation, a civilization here in the Cape that is unique, not just to South Africa, but to the entire African continent and most of the world. In fact, we are the only place that is the true rainbow nation. The Cape is the most ethnically diverse territory within South Africa, and in fact, most of Africa. So what we at the Cape Independence Party, Cape Exit, believe is that charity starts at home. And we believe in first come, first serve. We have got Cape Exit members on the Cape Flats who've been sitting on that housing list for 30 years or more, whereas people are coming here from other provinces, primarily the Eastern Cape, but other provinces and other parts of Africa, and getting free houses, free electricity, and free water over and above people that have been born here, whose ancestors built this place over hundreds and hundreds of years. So what we at Cape Exit are calling for is very similar to what General Mkhwanazi in KwaZulu-Natal called for a few months ago. He said, "I'm sick and tired of police officers in KwaZulu-Natal not looking after the best interests of the Zulu people and the province of KwaZulu-Natal." We at Cape Exit want the exact same thing here in the Cape. We're sick and tired of police officers who don't have the Western Cape and the Western Cape people's best interests at heart. We're sick and tired of nurses not having the best interest of the people of the Cape at heart. We're tired of jobs not going to people who were born in the Cape. So under a Cape Exit government, we will impose and implement a policy called Cape Economic Employment. And what that means is that charity starts at home. And we will no longer put up with backyard dwellers in the Cape Flats who have been on a housing list for 20, 30 years or more, not getting houses, over and above people who are coming here from other parts of South Africa. We want to put the Cape first. That is what we stand for. Mense van die Kaap Eerste. We are the only party that will stand up for everyone in the Cape. We're a true rainbow nation, and this live a rainbow nation has come to an end. You never hear the ANC talking about the rainbow nation. The DA doesn't talk about a rainbow nation, but we can have a rainbow nation right here in the Cape. And how are we going to do it? A lot of people don't know this, but there's something called the Division of Revenue Act. And I will agree with many of the mayoral candidates here this evening in the policies that we should be implementing to fix the mess that is South Africa and the Cape. But I'll tell you what, like in my opening quote, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and to expect a different result. I am telling you right now, we will be back here again in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, in 15 years' time, having these exact same discussions as we've had for the last 32 years. Why? Because the system itself is broken. And under a centralized governmental system under the ANC, we are never going to fix it. Under a centralized governmental system under the DA, we are never going to fix it. We have to take power and bring it back to the local communities. The Western Cape pays 325 billion rand in taxes to the national government every year. We get back in our unconditional grants a total of 75 billion rand. If the Western Cape was an independent country, we could cut taxes in half and have double the amount of money for schools, hospitals, policing, infrastructure, etc. So what we're tired of is Cape Exit members coming to us from the Cape Flats and saying, I went to the police station the other day and the police officer couldn't even speak Afrikaans, couldn't report the crime that I wanted to report. I'm sick and tired of my kids going to schools in which the teachers can't even teach them in the language that they grow up with in their own home. They're tired of not having job opportunities. We're tired of fishing rights being taken away from our people and given to BEE consortiums who aren't even from the Cape. So the bottom line is, if you want to take power back, and you want a bright future for your children and a true rainbow nation where we put all of this BE rubbish behind us and you're judged on merit and you get a house because you've been on the housing list, not because of your skin color, but because you were on the list first. First come, first serve. Charity starts at home. Let's put the Cape first. Vote Cape Exit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack Miller. Before I hand over to Stanley to do the next segment, I just want to say that we are going to ask you in the room for the next, when Mark takes Q&A, that you are allowed just to tell the audience that we have a few people in the room that's from certain communities, Hanover Park, Atri, Mitchell's Plain, Gugulethu, Khayelitsha. And so there'll be a few questions we'll take, but the predominant questions is coming from the YouTube live. So if you have questions here, please keep them, write them on the tablet of your heart. And I'm going to ask Bianca to just keep checking, and I'll check in with Bianca. I know she keeps checking. We have 10 online already, and I think 10 from yesterday. And Ausha, I see you have. So thank you very much, Stanley.
I can see people want to ask questions, but we're going to come back to you. The following candidate is no stranger to us. We know her story, a very sad story, and she can, just talk more, on the party's mandate and what they stand for. It's Ellen Pakkies from the NCC. Auntie Ellen?
Van Lijvendeel. Ik is NCC ek sê kandidaat, en jy weet, ek geniet my saam met die mense waar ek mee werk. Presfadeel Adams, en ook Sakina Frenchman. En ek is nou al vir 20 jaar besig in die gemeenskap. En ek het baie dinge ondervind in my gemeenskap. Ek was 'n leier in my huis, my ouers huis, waar ek my broers en susters geleer het om hulle skool prep te doen. Hulle was in skool, soos dan ek het dalkie groot staan na die skool te gaan nie, maar ek was hulle onderwyser. En hulle is 'n groter staan uit wat ek uitgegaan het. En ek is hier vandag omdat ek nie baie ken nie, maar ek ken baie van my gemeenskap. Want ek kom met Lewendale uit. En ek het van Kensington afgetrek na Lewendale toe. Ek was 11 jaar oud, toe ons Lewendale toe getrek het. En daarom is ek vandag hier so, van ek het begin sien dat daar 'n verandering in ons gemeenskap kan gemaak word. En dit is ook hoekom ek hier staan vandag. Ek weet baie mense het gedink ek is bang en wat ook al en ek kan nie praat nie, maar ek kan praat. En ek weet hoe om te praat. Ja, die woorde kan miskien net nie reg uitkom nie, maar ek weet wat om te doen. Miskien het ek die ding hoe om het te sê nie, maar hoe om het te doen weet ek. En daarom het ek 'n span agter my en ek sal ek weet ek sal hoop dat die mense sal vir my stem. Ek wil hê nie, maar ek sal hoop. En ek weet van dat is baie dinge wat ek beoog in my gemeenskap. Soos ek altyd ek het begin om mense werk te gee sonder dat ek geld gehad het, maar die bietjie wat ek het ek gedeel. En ek het altyd my gemeenskap skoon gehou en so aan. En dit is wat ek nog steeds doen. Jy weet, dit is wat ek weet wat ek kan doen in my gemeenskap. By huising, mense sal huise mooi maak, want ek weet ons jong mense op dwelms en kinders verniel hulle ouers se huise. En daar's baie wat ek kan doen. Jy weet, soms dan gebreek die mense se teppe of die pype bars, dan gaan roep ek iemand wat dit kan doen en ek betaal na haar persoon. So daar's baie wat ek kan gedoen in my gemeenskap. Jy weet, mense sal dink ja, ek is die en ek is daai, maar ek sal die mense antwoord gee. Want ek weet wie wat my waarde is. Jy weet, en dit is belangrik. Ons het nie nodig om mekaar af te druk en af te kraak nie. Ons is hier om mekaar op te help en 'n verandering in ons gemeenskap te bring. Met baie dankie.
I just want to say something. My pa het school in Sapa. Ek het school klaar gemaak, I went to go study. Don't underestimate the grown-up people. Ek kom maar vandaan af. That's my broer, ons is managers, ons is basse. Don't underestimate our people. And I want to tell the people online, stop that nonsense about the way you laugh at our people. Maybe she's not going to be the candidate, but we're going to respect her. And you know what? The thing is this, we come from apartheid. And we can say what you want, it's not gone yet, the system is still operating. We still have a lack of schools, we still have a lack of universities, we're still being marginalized. So I want to say this, and I ask you guys in peace to go on with it, please. And then our next candidate is as follows. A young man that I got the opportunity to interview a few years ago. He's not young anymore. His name is Chessyn Daniels.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Whenever I have a mic in my hand, dan wil ek vra baisa julle. Maar ek besef ek is hier in 'n impartial plek. Brett sal nou nie verstaan wat ek sê nie. But thank you very much for the opportunity. Uncle Stan, to your team, thank you very much. I also want to say to the people of Cape Town watching, I want to say this. It's definitely our time. I think I'm the youngest mayoral candidate. I'm 33 years of age. I'm currently a ward councillor within the city of Cape Town for Ward 56, a ward taken from the Democratic Alliance and a ward we will retain under the Patriotic Alliance. Die moenie bysa nie. Ons mense is nou dik vir te lank op selective service delivery. And I want to say a few things today. I'm not going to say a lot. Too long, the city has been run for a few. A lot of us have said it and we will repeat it. But today we are not here to break down the Democratic Alliance. We are here to give solutions and what we can do better. And so I want to say that we have a very beautiful postcard. But we do realize that the beauty only rests with those who have the money. If we currently look at who is able to live here, it's Europeans. It's people with the money, not South Africans. And so, behind the postcard, the reality is of gang violence, unaffordable rent, broken communities, an increased amount of informal settlements post 2021, and we can look at the statistics, and families who cannot afford the electricity bills and our municipal accounts. We have aunties on the Cape Flats that needs to determine, are they going to buy electricity or pay their municipal account? We have fathers that needs to determine, are they going to pay for that groceries or are they going to pay for their child's creche? And that is the reality we are living in. And so when we say we are a united Cape Town, the 4th of November, the people of Cape Town must show how united they are. To prove that we are Dick, we can use a lot of Cape Flats words. But today I'll stay in my church regalia and use the word Dick. But allow me to say, yeah, definitely, we are Gatvol Vadeel. The Patriotic Alliance is not here to make promises we cannot keep. I want to say that categorically. When I sit here today, I want to tell you we already have draft policy positions on this. We have draft affordable housing policy. We have a skill center draft policy. So what we are telling you here today is stuff that we have already researched and already have a position on. We are simply here tonight to tell you the truth of why you are being asked to vote for the Patriotic Alliance. My key focus is threefold. One, it is to deal with safety, but not only policing, but liberation. We have heard that our communities are under siege, and therefore, under the PA, we will expand the city's own law enforcement capacity so that we are not waiting for SAPs to fail us again. We will focus on boots on the ground in every gang-infested community. Out of the top 10 policing stations, we have the majority police stations in the Western Cape. We will invest in youth diversion programs because our children are not born gangsters. The thing we are going to do is to introduce housing with dignity. As I said, Cape Townians, we already have the affordable housing policy that we want to table the moment we get into council. Land belongs to the people. And I'm so humbled by what you have said, Brett, that this particular land has a rich history. And so it's important we recognize that the land of Cape Town must belong to the people of Cape Town. I will fight for rent regulation so that landlords cannot bleed families dry, and so increase the amount of people living on the street. If you go to the streets tonight, people will have different stories of why they are on the streets. And a lot of those stories will be, we were evicted. Why? We could not afford our rent. And so, under the PA administration, we will unlock city-owned land for affordable housing, not in the distant future, but within our first term. No more promises and more bricks and mortar. And not the styrofoam bricks that the city is introducing proudly. And then their councillors have the audacity to go make a video. Near Sisman. We cannot do that. Where is the dignity in housing for our people? The third thing we intend to do is to put money back into our people's pockets. Every single month, even as a councillor myself, I am astonished for my municipal bill when I see it. And so I'm thinking to myself, what about the people on the Cape Flats? Wat moet hulle op die einde van die maand dan vra, Here, waar gaan my hulp vandaan kom? Ek voel al soos David wat heel dag vra, Here, waar gaan my hulp vandaan kom? Waar gaan my hulp vandaan kom? Maar daai is die vraag wat baie Cape Townians vra. Black, white, blue, Indian, pink, orange, irrespective where they find themselves. And so it's under a PA administration, we will cap the municipal rates and you will pay for what you use. Why are we paying for things that we are not using? Why are we having to pay rates and levies that is misused at the end of the day? And when I say misused, I'm referring to the millions.
Government. They are currently, since 2024, running the Ministry of Land Reform and Rural Development, the National Ministry of Land Reform and Rural Development. And what this ministry has done is 500 million rand is being invested into District 6. This is the partnership that we are forming with the ministry to say we are serious about addressing the issues. It's good to talk about things, but what are we doing about those things? It's good to make promises, but what is really going to change in people's lives and circumstances? So these are things, this is real, tangible things that will change the lives of the people that were affected by District 6, which is a real issue in the Cape. That's what we talk about when we want to change people's lives. Now, there's another thing called the Trankra Act, and I'm sure many people know about the Trankra Act, which is something that affects colored people in particular. And what the PAC has done is they've returned, under the PAC's leadership, 206,000 hectares of land back to colored people. Back to colored people. We're not promising to do things. We are showing people this is what we are busy doing right now. And when we get into power, the more power we get, our people will be empowered. We're not going to promise power. We're going to give power. So another one of the important things that we stand for, that I stand for, and us as an organization also stand for, is the devolution of power. Power currently is sitting in the hands of politicians and people close to the mountain, right? But not in the hands of the people. And I'm happy that we mentioned earlier, clarifying what the Cape Flats is, because many people must understand what the Cape Flats is. The wealthy sit here around the mountain. En daar waar het so plat is, daar's waar die poverty is. So if we talk about devolution of power, power must be taken and put in the hands of the people. Now the slogan that we are putting out there, and I mentioned what the PAC is doing. So you understand when we say this slogan, put the Cape Flats first, or put the flats first, because that is the priority that the people of the Cape must get. The issue here in Cape Town is the flats. So if we are serious about changing the economic dynamic of Cape Town, then we must put the flats first. So one of these things that we aim to achieve this through is by moving government buildings. The government serves there where it sits first. And so everybody, I've noticed how the city is built. It's funneled in a manner that everybody drives in the morning, everybody drives back out in the evening. Because the economy is here in the Cape. Now, the city of Cape Town has over about 32,400 permanent employees, the city of Cape Town. If we are able to change, and what we are going to do when we get within the first 100 days of being in power, right? Because ons gaan in power come. I can guarantee you that, because we are not promising solutions, we are showing what we're doing right now, is to take these 32,400 people, or a part of them, and move them to Khayelitsha, to Mitchell's Plain, to Atlantis, to Lavender Hill, all these communities. And once we move these buildings to these communities, we are moving a working class who must buy their lunch in those communities, who are traveling with their vehicles to those communities, which means they can now afford to put up filling stations in those communities. But we'll also prioritize that those jobs and the opportunities are given to the people that live in those communities. That is tangible change that we want to put in the hands of people. That is what we call the devolution of power. Now, even in Richtersveld is another example I want to make. And I'm sure many people understand it's now not in the city of Cape Town, but I want to give you an indication of how serious we are when we're dealing with these, especially brown issues. We want to talk away from the brown because we want to be politically correct. I'm not politically correct. I'm dealing with an issue of a people that has been marginalized for far too long, right? And that doesn't negate the fact that there are other issues in other communities that must be prioritized on the basis that they are also neglected, like communities like Langa and Khayelitsha and Nyanga and all these other communities. That is the communities, those are the communities who are building the city every day. But for who? So, we are serious about changing the city of Cape Town. The problem in the city of Cape Town is not that there's a lack of money. There is money. It is where the money is spent and who the money is spent on. We are serious about one of the things we've also mentioned in an interview I did earlier in the week is the koi and the sun are the foundation of this city. If we cannot recognize that we must fix the foundation of the city, it doesn't matter what house we build, it will collapse because the foundation is not fixed. En almal wat my ken weet ek staan 100% cement vas soos julle sê op die issue van die koi en die sun, fixing the foundation, not to the exclusion of other people, but because you want to build a beautiful house in which everybody can thrive. But it will not happen. It will not happen until we fix the foundation. Now, put the flats first is something I want that must linger in your minds when we leave here. Put the Cape Flats first. When we talk about churches, now I've gone and engaged with all the community. I don't believe politicians has all the solutions. Politicians must be the ones coming with solutions. Cape Townians have solutions. That's when I went into the communities like Mitchell's Plain and the Cape Malay communities and the Muslim communities and the churches, I realized the Cape Townians have the solutions for Cape Town. What are we trying to do? Why are we not humble enough to listen to Cape Townians, to say, we've been trying to fix these problems ourselves, we just don't have access. We want to be access. Ek wil say, take advantage of me when we are in power because now you will have access. And when we talk about that access, we're talking about what we did in District 6. We're talking about what we did in Richtersveld. So, time is in, I have 1 minute left. Okay. Put the Cape Flats first. That's what we stand for. And I want that to be something you guys take home. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last candidate for this segment is no other than Dwayne Jacobs. He's not family of mine, I just need to say that. So, Dwayne.
Thank you. He's a part Jacobs here. Good evening, everyone. Let me all greet you in the name of the Most High. Kayesa. Okay, I want to start off with this. Throughout history, it has been the inaction of those that should have acted, the indifference of those that should have known better, and the silence of the voice of justice when it matters the most. This has made it possible for evil to triumph. Now, let me go back and say, until the philosophy which hold one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, until there is no longer first-class and second-class citizens of any nation, and until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regards to race, then we will be better off. Until then, I will raise my voice to make sure I'm a voice for my people. Now, let me start off. My name is Dwayne Jacobs. I was born in Bishop Lavis. We moved to Mitchell's Plain. My mother and my grandparents were products of forceful removals. So with that, I want to say to the people of Cape Town, don't ever think that we are nothing. Because ons was eerst baie ryk voordat hulle vir ons geroof het. And they have robbed us, yes. We were robbed of our language, we were robbed of our land, we lost our religion, our culture, our God, and many of us, by the way we act, we even lost our minds. Now by that, I want to say, let me start off. Ons moes van die Kaap, right? Ons moet praat. We want to talk about the Cape Town and how we're going to make Cape Town better because we want to come with solutions. Most of the time when you see us on Facebook, we bring awareness to the people. Awareness on what is happening within our communities, right? It's not always that we want to complain. But we must ask ourselves, what are we going to do better to make Cape Town a little better? You know, let us start by safety and security. What is the biggest problem that we have when it comes to gangsters and all of that in our communities? I went around to a couple of police stations and I used to speak to the station commanders. I asked them, what is the biggest problem that we have with regards to crime and everything? And they will say, the biggest problem that we have is unemployment. Unemployment is the root cause, basically, of everything. Now, when we look at the Cape Flats, we don't need a scientist to come and solve the problem for us. It's basic things that we need to put in place. Yes, a lot of the candidates were talking about it and saying that we can't just police. It's not just a policing issue, you know. It's a problem that the society has. Now, safer communities, how do you start off with safer communities? Safer communities, you need safe areas. How do we create safe areas? You're sitting here next to me. You know, the Cape Town would have worked lekker because Cape Town is a tourism destination within itself. When we look at Bonteville, the rich history that is there, of our brothers that died there, why is there no tourism there? When we look at Mitchell's Plain and the forceful removals, we talk about the Koi and the Sun, there's no tourism happening there. With events, with sports and arts and culture, that is how we can save our communities. Right? Because in our areas, what do we need? We need more skill centers, we need art centers, we need better facilities because they will find work for idle hands. Our youths are coming out of school, there's absolutely nothing for them to happen. What's happening? The gangsters grab them before anything else. But when you have enough facilities and you have areas where the youths can go, by the time when that youth is finished with his stuff, the mother and father is coming out of work. So there's no opportunity for the gangs to grab him. Remember, we must now save the ones that is not involved. The ones that is there already, we must see how are we going to make it so that they can be interested in changing their lives. Now, when we look at our areas and we look at our communities, I'm just going to make an example. We have the city of Cape Town. We have 118 wards, so we're going to have 118 councillors, right? We know that our areas are territorial. Our kids don't cross into the areas, right? But when you look at, say for instance, and I don't want to just talk about Mitchell's Plain, but let me take Mitchell's Plain, because Mitchell's Plain is een van die grootste kleerling populasies wat ons kan kry, right? Ons het oor 1 miljoen mense al klaar in Mitchell's Plain in. As ons kyk hoeveel mense fout is, ons is net 120. Anyway, let me not go there. Let us talk about Mitchell's Plain and say, okay, look at Mitchell's Plain. Look at the areas that there is, right? Tafelsig se laities gaan nie in East Street sien. East Street se laities gaan nie in Tafelsig nie. But we have the council. We have the councillors. Why is there no sporting between the councillors where we say we have a sporting club for this ward? This ward will play against that ward. That ward will play against that ward. You know what's going to happen now? Sometimes, you know, most when gangsters come into your area, skiet hulle mos net enige een, want hulle ken nie mekaar nie. But when the youths are going to start crossing over and playing in different wards, gaan ons mos mekaar sien. You get what I'm saying? So wanneer gangsters fight, gaan hulle mos nou exactly fit wie is gangsters. Because, you know, in our areas, as amper soos 'n kleine Pollsmoor. Children can only operate there. If you've been to Pollsmoor already, you can only operate there and you can come out and you can go there, but that's it. And that is how it is for our children. So we need more sporting facilities, you know. We need to bring people like ACVV back into our communities so that we can have more social workers. Look at what's happening. We have 20 schools, 1 psychologist. Anyway, it's not the provincial government, let me not go there. But let us talk about safety. If this is most now local government, right? But when it comes to even national and provincial, you never hear people say, okay, hoe kan maak ons hierdie night courts doen nie? That is a groot probleem. Because when you go to a night court, what happens there? That guy don't have to go for 7 days where they're going to do a checkup on him, so they just come out. Night courts must be only for petty crimes. But let's go further. Let's talk about Cape Town within itself. You know, Cape Town was better off when it used to be a unicity. Who's going to agree with me? We have a metro, we have 1 mayor, and we have a couple of mayors. What did we have when we had a unicity? We had different mayors. Cape Town was operating differently. Cape Town was working before it became a metro. Because if you look at all the facilities that's going backwards, it never looked like that before this. Before this, when it was a unicity, you could drive by and I can just see, daar werk die paakie mense, daar maak hulle skoon, there's that happening, that is happening, our beaches is in order. I mean, we used to have one of the biggest festivals at Monwabisi, the reggae festival that came down there. I'm just making an example. So things was working for us when we were a unicity. And I think that is one of the things that we will fight for, is to take it back. Because the smaller you have things operating, just look at Mitchell's Plain and Kailitsa, that can be a municipality on its own. That can be a municipality on its own. When we talk about housing, ons bou net sulke klein huisies. Let's build bigger houses and give our people opportunity to grow their own vegetables. Did you see what happened to Cuba when they went into the oil peak? Alle mense het begin groei because now we can supply the smaller markets. We can also work towards zero to waste landfill because we have a problem with our landfills. Het vat 50 jaar vir 'n landfill om te settle voor hulle daarop kan bou. So what do? When we talk about cheaper electricity, why don't we go from waste to energy? Why are we not doing that? Because the city will save op hulle way hoe hulle geld maak met ons mense. But if we go from waste to energy, we will have cheaper electricity for our people. You know what I mean? We must start focusing on our environment. Kyk wat gebeur saam met ons nature reserves. It's just a lot of informal settlements popping up. What about the endangered species? What is really happening to Cape Town? So there's a lot that we can offer when it comes to that, besides just complaining. We must come with solutions. And I think if we all work together, yes, we can have a lot of different political parties. We will all have our different policies and our different focuses. But at some point in time, we need to say, one love, one aim, one God, one destiny. I thank you.
I'm going to give over to Heron Bells. She's going to do the second segment that continues.
So I think we're good for time. I think we're just 7 minutes over time, but I think this is the section or segment that we were waiting for. It's for the people to engage, all of you. Quickly, I'm going to introduce a very important person here tonight. It's the chairperson of our board, the Bridge. He's not from the Eastern Cape. He was born and bred in Gugulethu. And so we're intentional. The Bridge is very intentional. It's about building bridges. It's building bridges starting in Cape Town. The forced removals took us all out. Whether you were in Maitland, whether you were in District 6, whether you were in Constantia, and they dumped us on the outskirts, on the sandy stretch of land, Mitchell's Plain, First Township, Black Township, was Langa. And then Langa got too small, so it went to Gugulethu. What Mark and myself, as God put this in our hearts, was to bridge the gap. To bridge the invisible divide that was intentionally orchestrated in 1950. And so, Auntie Avril is here, Jonathan is not here, but it's close enough. We have Gugulethu, and then we have Mallenberg, and our people don't cross over. That Danafontein Road, we're still using us and them, and so this is what we do, this is what the movement is about, to say that ons is mense. And I know the chief is not here, Chief Zinzele, he was going to speak to us a little bit about the land that we are on, and so thank you, Brett, for speaking about the sacred land, the Groenewald, because if you look at all of our ancestors there, even you, Brett, I see in some of them there. It's all of us, plat neus, mooi neus, lang hare. That is where we come from, and that is what we're going to do. So we have these uncomfortable conversations, and then we met Uncle Stanley, and we came together, and I think this man is a legend. And so let's give Stanley a hand. Let's give him a hand. And so we are intentional about the N2. We don't want no more halls. We want to break the halls. We want to have conversations because we believe that it's time. And so Mark, I don't usually say it properly, Totoy, born in NY1, Mark, Totoy, Clan, Kwalo, Mzangwa. And then the other one, I don't get it right, is Nuntu. I'm going to give over to him. He's going to go on, I think it's online. He'll do the first segment of the questions that is there. I want to say we have not filtered the questions. And so we've just taken them. Some of them is a bit aina, but we're going to be okay. I love what we did here. In fact, I want to say after this, we are speaking the same stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And so we should speak about social compacts that we should form after this. But Mark, I know your heart. I know it's gentle and tender, and you were going to give those comments.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Taryn. Once again, thank you very much, everyone, for gracing us with your presence. I seem to look at everyone in the room, and everyone seems to be very passionate about the city and very passionate about the people. And I think all of us, as Taryn has said, we all speak one united voice, which speaks to the people of the community. Now, I have been tasked with a very uncomfortable segment, which is voices of the people online that have posed a few questions. And the first one is from a lady from Mitchell's Plain, Mika, and it is directed to you, my leader from PA. And it says, to the PA candidate, on finance, why should we trust you and your party with the Cape Town budget when you have been part of a coalition government that is bankrupted Johannesburg?
Sure. Look, I expected the question, the first question. No, thank you. Look, I think the organization itself has learned who to place in government, and therefore we have a policy that we have now drafted to ensure that our financial system, wherever we are in government, is very strict and in line with the law. We've even added our own internal system to make sure that all the checks and balances are in place. We have also internally looked at how do we strengthen the MFMA and the PFMA to ensure that accountability remains, our highest priority. I totally understand the position of the person who asked the question. It's not a question that we are able to sideline. All I can say is we have learned, we have seen in our coalition partner what has happened, and we have now rectified going forward. Should we end up in government the 4th of November, we will do things a bit differently. For us, in hindsight, we've realized that particular error. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next question comes from Anonymous. And once again, like I said, very uncomfortable questions, but this one is addressed at you, Ms. Paki. And it says, Paki is, sorry for that. It says, you are not qualified for the job. The NCC is setting you up for failure. Why should we trust that you will fight crime when as your political leader is currently facing appearing in the Zanga Commission and involved in criminal activity? It says it says you're not qualified for the job and the NCC is setting you up for failure. It says, my question is, why should I trust you to fight crime when as your political leader appears before the Zanga Commission regarding allegations involving criminal activity?
I just want to say that my people, they're not putting me up for failure because I know what's going on in my community, and I know a lot about what's going in our communities, and I am not here to talk for my president. He can speak for himself because he knows what's the truth. Yeah. So, yes, I don't know if that's a question. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the next question, I'm not sure if it's who is it directed to. Taryn, if you can just assist, it says community field.
I think it's common.
Oh, okay, sure.
Anyone wants to answer.
Okay, all right, sure then. It says, what is your opinion? What is your opinion on the killings that have been placed in the Palestine and the geopolitical that cannot simply be ignored at the level of governance? What is your opinion on the current happenings on the border and the global scale, if anyone?
I mean, we've been absolutely unequivocal. What is happening to the people of Palestine is a genocide, and there's no soft talking it. What the Israeli government is doing to the people of Palestine is a genocide, it's a crime against humanity, and it is all of our responsibility to condemn it without equivocation. We have to be absolutely clear that it's wrong, it's a genocide, and there is no excusing it. And the South African government, having gone to the ICJ, is leading the world in this fight against that genocide, and we do support them, and we are very grateful that other countries are joining in that action against Israel at the ICJ. But what we are seeing around the world is a failure of these institutions that were created to create order in the world. So the United Nations and the ICJ, first of all, the ICJ case is taking far too long, and the United Nations is failing us. And we have to really ask what its purpose is now if it's unable to intervene in this conflict that is unfair and is killing innocent people. It's a genocide. Let's not call it anything else. It's a genocide.
I'll also open up the floor for anyone that has remarks regarding that issue as well. Thank you.
I think it's important, obviously, the people wants to know your opinion on Palestine.
Yeah, look at, we must agree. When we look at it, we can see what is happening. Obviously, there is a genocide happening there. But I think what is most important is that our people are confused. Because when our people hear Israel, they think it's the Israelites of the Bible. And I think that's where the confusion comes in. But what I want to say is, when we rise against the genocide of the Palestinians, we must rise against the genocide of the Cape Townians. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, my leader.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. As you know, and as you are aware, the president of the Patriotic Alliance, Gayton McKenzie, has a view on this particular matter, including our deputy president. This evening, I want to tell Cape Townians, as the mayoral candidate, I stand fully with the people of Palestine. There is no way that I'm going to echo the views of anyone that doesn't see it as a genocide. And I'm very clear on this. I've said it to Gayton, I've said it to the party leadership. But one thing we need to understand and make it very clear, that the geopolitical situation in Israel must be an eye-opener for us in South Africa. The world has gone silent. If South Africa didn't stand up against what's happening in Palestine, then no one would have. And that's a fact. Only after the fact, countries came and said, but we are standing with Africa for taking Israel to the International Criminal Court. So, I, Chessyn Daniels, 'n kind van die Kaap, staan met die mense Palestine. I said it to Kenny, I will say it to each and every NEC member in the Patriotic Alliance when they baisa nie. So I believe they shouldn't baisa when we talk to them about the affects humanity. And I want to conclude by saying this is not about religion. It's purely about politics. So when I say what I'm saying, the grounds on which I stand is to say this has nothing to do with being a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or whatever. It is purely about the politics. So that is my view, and I will not move on that view at all. Thank you.
Ek wil ook net sê, ek staan met die mense met Palestina, want al mense is. Dit is eers mens en dan die politieks. Dis wees en want dit is baie belangrik. God het ons almal mense geskape en daarom moet ons omgee vir mekaar. En die rede is ook dit, Mr. Fadil Edens wat ons almal so sleg van praat is, hy wil nie dat ons as Christen of Muslim mense moet mekaar afkrakie. As dit gebeur, jaag hy ons almal weg. Jy weet, en dit is hoe dit is. Baie dankie.
Fadil.
Yeah, I just have to mirror the concerns. You know, the murder of women and children is just unacceptable under any conditions, and we certainly hope for peace, not just in Palestine and Israel, but across the world. We hope that in Russia and Ukraine, that war can come to an end. We hope that many of the conflicts that we're seeing around the world can come to an end. And what we would want to also say that as much concern as we have for all of these atrocities around the world, I'd also like to note that South Africa ranks as the top in the world. We have in the top 10 highest murder rates in the world. We are, I think, the five main cities of South Africa rank in the top 10 murder rates in the world. We've got people dying on the farms. We've got people dying on the Cape Flats at rates that is completely unacceptable. And I really hope that we can all stand together against all of these atrocities around the world and here in South Africa. Thank you.
Awesome. Fadil's by and I want to echo, I think, what Auntie Ellen is saying about humanity. And I think, especially tonight in this room and this platform, one can quickly make everything about politics. And we get forced into it's either black or it's white. It's either Palestine or you're Israel, or you're Christian, or you're Muslim, or you're gay, or against gay. And my position is firmly for humanity. And what Auntie Ellen started saying is correct. Before I'm Palestinian, I am a human. So we call for a two-state solution. We call for the immediate ceasefire, but more importantly, relentlessly call for peace. That before I see who is Palestine, who is not Palestine, I need to see a human being, connect with that human being, see myself in that human being, and us as political leaders and leaders of society have a responsibility to advocate and fight for peace and ceasefire and against the injustice of humanity. I think it is lazy, I think it is shallow to reduce it to this one word genocide, and it's a trend, it's a buzz. But he said it's not a genocide, it's wrong. They say yes, it is lazy. We got to do introspection as humanity. It needs to be for humanity. Whether I'm on the Cape Flats, whether I'm there in Palestine, it's for humanity. And our responsibility as leaders of society and political leaders is to call for that and stand by that. And that is our position as Build One South Africa.
Oh, we're all speaking. Look, I'm a human rights advocate. It has been something I've championed my whole life. My family's done it, my father. So I think it goes without saying, obviously I would stand with Palestine because it deals with the issue of humanity. And that's the bottom line. I do think we're also here, not to change or be harsh. I'm here to talk about Cape Town though, because I feel like Cape Town is a real issue and it's serious and people really want to know about where we are headed in the next 5 years with the city of Cape Town. But in context of the question, like I said, I'm a human rights advocate and I'll always stand with humanity, no matter what. Thank you.
Okay. Is it on? Okay. All right, the next question is for you, my leader, Roger, and it's twofold. What does the next chapter look like? What does it look like in the different chapter under the DA? And then the next one is, what are your thoughts, views around the N2 wall?
Sure. I think just to reiterate that after 20 years of the current chapter's government, which is the Democratic Alliance, the question has changed. The question again is not whether Cape Town is working. The question is who it's working for, and has life become easier or harder for Cape Townians? Has life become easier or harder to live in? Has Cape Town become harder or easier to do business in, to raise your children in? Has Cape Town become harder to grow old in? That is the question, and that is the next chapter for Cape Town. It is to ensure that the lived experience of all Cape Townians, irrespective, is is one where there is some form of quality. And I think we will be naive to claim that the city is entirely broken. But also, we cannot measure the so-called success of Cape Town because of the poor standard of the ANC. So just one notch above the ANC, we're a successful city. That is not true. But the reality is that ordinary Cape Townians who are paying their rates, paying their tax, trying to raise their family, doing the right thing, playing by the rules, is finding it darn hard to live in the city, and we are being squeezed out. And that is because the current chapter, the past 5 years, there's a government that's made it much more harder to do business and to live in the city. The second question was relating to? Oh, that's a no altogether. No, absolutely. That is just crazy. It's beyond crazy. Once again, I think it's lazy. The fact that an entire government, local government, and I'm very much interested to, possibly my colleagues who's in council, to find out who's really funding this all and where it's coming from. But we've got to invest in our communities. We've got to invest in bridging our communities and not separating them through walls. We've got to invest in the preventative measures. We've got to invest in our social workers, our ECD, after-school programs, to ensure that ultimately our children are kept off the street after school. Because like I said, they're dealing with crime by building a wall, which is lazy. How to deal with it is to ensure that our children are not choosing gangs. The gangs are finding them because our children are idle at home. So we've got to be a bit more intentional and creative in what we are putting in place as a government, local city government, to make sure that preventative measures are there and we become more proactive rather than reactive in governing crime. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think also to adding the issue of the war, which goes to the heart of crime in Cape Town, is when I look at the prisons in Cape Town, our kids are basically sent when they come out of Lavender Hill in Manenberg and Hanover Park. Those are the kids that are generally being, Cape Flats kids being sent to prison. And because of the poverty that is in there and the lack of skills and investment in these communities, one of the things that we want to make sure of is to partner, because, let me put it like this, slogans we have is, where the city has power, we will act. Where the province has power, we will negotiate with the province. Where the government fails to act, we will litigate, and we will deliver on the issues that we deal with in these three spheres of government. But the point is, these kids that are being sent to prison, can they not be upskilled? We have a plan actually to upskill these kids and whoever it is in prison, so that when they come out, they're actually productive citizens, so that they are not falling back into the same society when they go back into the areas that they come from. It's about creating productive citizens and empowering people, no matter where they are, whether they're in prison or outside of prison, to make sure that this is a contributing factor to making Cape Town a better place. Thank you.
So we're going to open the floor. I think it's just about 15 minutes for burning questions here. I know that beautiful woman in orange, my heart is burning to speak. So quickly, I just want to in terms of way forward, we're going to have something nice to eat afterwards. So we don't want you to run away. There's a lot of more questions coming. What is going to happen? We're going to collect those questions. We're going to send them to you because you still need to answer them. And Stanley will speak about the way forward. There's going to be a part 2 where we're going to have all of the candidates, including my party that's not here. It was a joke. Or maybe not. Sorry. So I'm going to start with the beautiful lady there, and then there is Chantal, is going to be proxy for Jonathan. Jonathan is a big community leader that we work with in Manenberg, and he's our Chantal from Ottery Lotus River to register his questions. So it's 1, 2, 3. I don't know if I want Mr. Adams to speak. 4, 5, 6. And then 7. We, ja, ek is 'n sterk vrou, so ek zie, ek gaan langs jou staan. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Is this thing on? Oh, okay. My name is Mandela Chwete, and I work for the Good Party. That's my mayor there, Brett. Brett, I just want you to explain how this housing list works, because it's kind of confusing. I mean, you were at the city, so I just want to know, what did you do when you were there, and what will you do after that? I mean, after you're in. Thank you.
This is an orange mic. Thank you. Look, I think, and certainly for the people that are also watching at home, we know that Cape Town has a housing crisis. I mean, there are people who are living in backyards, people living in informal settlements, people who are living with their families, unable to find somewhere to live. And when I ask the question in Parliament, how many people are on the waiting list, in the Western Cape, they say 680,000 names, and in Cape Town, 458,000 names. But it is not a waiting list. It's really important for people to understand it is not a waiting list. Because if you're on a waiting list, then when you're number one on the list, you should be the first one to get a house. And it doesn't work like that. Because when part of my question to the MEC was, how many people are on this waiting list? And how long have people been waiting in each of the towns in the Western Cape? And in Cape Town, they told me that the person who's been waiting longest has been waiting 40 years. 40 years on the database. I was in Westbank, as I said earlier today. There were two people there, one lady who has been waiting 26 years and another 22 years. So it is not a waiting list, it is just a database of names. And you are just lucky if you actually get a call or a WhatsApp or a text message saying there's a house available for you. And so what we really need to do is to clean up that data, understand who's on that database and what they qualify for in terms of the public housing program. And then we need to say that those people who've been waiting the longest should get the first opportunity to get a house. It is outrageous that there's someone on the waiting list, the database, that's been waiting 40 years. That cannot be, that is not a mark of good governance that we keep hearing about, that the Western Cape and the city of Cape Town is good governance. Because if you've been waiting 40 years, 26 years, 22 years, that is not good governance. That means it's just random. You're just lucky if you get that call, or you've just pestered them enough, and that's not the way to solve the problem. We need to clean up that list. It needs to be allocated according to how long people have been waiting. We understand that there are also projects that include informal settlements and people who have been living in the area a long time, but the allocation policy is not being applied properly, and I really want people to understand that when people talk about a waiting list, it is not a waiting list, it is just a database of names. Thank you.
Thank you. Who was number two?
Can I just add something quickly? And I want to say this to Mr. Fadil Adams. I think we were at an engagement with Bosa about this list, because housing is very close to our hearts. It's 12,000 houses in over 5 years, the last 5 years, 12,000. It's not actually 600,000, because if you are a backyard dweller, you are not on that list. And now people in Heiderveld, there's 10 dwellings on one yard. So if you look at that ratio, 12,000 of the last 5 years, 900,000, it's going to take 135 years to clear that waiting list. My mum says when they were thrown in Q-Town, there was an auntie there that did not take off the plastic from her couch from District 6 because they promised that they were going to move back. She died without a house. We cannot wait 135 years. None of us will be here. So we owe it to our children to do something about that housing list, Mr. Adams.
Who was number two?
Number two is Chantal.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chantal. So Jonathan, he has an organization called Laugh Out Loud. We are a cluster of organizations that formed an alliance. So Jonathan is in Menenberg, and he sent a message A question, in fact.
I'm going to just show them while you're speaking the picture that Jonathan has sent.
Okay. So the question that Jonathan posed was, how do we ensure the safety of our children?
So on the picture it says warning children could be shot, and this is in Mallenberg. So this is normalized.
And if I might just add to that list, I work across the Cape Flats, gang-infested areas. These are the very children who has to run for their lives every morning, every afternoon, every evening. They are scared to go to school, they are traumatized. I've got a guy working at school with children. How is this normal? Why do people and children have to message a community group asking, is it safe to come into your own area? Or is it safe for my children's transport to come into the area? The children in the mornings when they go to school, they don't even know which way to run, because that is when they start shooting. Same in the afternoon, same in the evenings. And I think I speak on behalf of every single red zone that we are in at the moment. So yeah, it's part of Jonathan's question as well, I suppose. Thank you.
So I think it's safety communities. It's been answered already. If we can do a quick 30-second.
Thank you for the question, ma'am. Let me be very blunt. SAPS failed us. There's no two ways about it. They have treated our communities like war zones that they can contain. We currently have soldiers in our communities that must protect us, and not citizens that they must protect. We are being treated as if we are collateral damage. And so what I'll be doing differently is, one, I will not be outsourcing our security. And that's currently what is happening in the city of Cape Town. I will build a professional and a very well-resourced municipal policing service. That means traffic, metro police, and law enforcement. And of course, they'll be working in conjunction with SAP. So this thing of devolution of powers is not really what the DA wants to portray as we want to help the people. It's about power. They want to exert power. They want to show they are in charge. As daai man kan nog maar vir julle regeer. So that mentality we need to really review. I will also declare war on illegal firearms, and currently SAPS nationally is not doing much to deal with the firearms that is currently on our streets. So we need to declare war on firearms and not war on our people. The third thing is we'll be cutting funding for luxury projects in the city of Cape Town. The shot spotter, eye in the sky, allerlei drone goed wat JP Smith elke week with TikToks maak, is sommer absolute nonsense. And we will rather redirect that money to social intervention programs like sports, arts, skills training in every hotspot, but not only in hotspots, but in communities that can also fall prone to these type of menace. The last thing I want to say is that we have been locked in a cycle of poverty and violence, ma'am, and that is our daily reality. And so to break that cycle, we need to address the cause, and the cause is hopelessness. And so we need to give our young people a reason to live, and they will not die. So I hope I've answered your question directly.
Can I just say, we've got police, we've got army, we've got law enforcement. Policing is not going to solve this problem. You ask, how are we going to keep our children safe? We have to look at other ways to intervene in this problem. Let me just use Westbank as an example. I was there today, I was there a couple of weeks ago, when the mothers told me that when the shooting starts, the school principals send the children home, put them out into the streets while the shooting is happening. So we have to change. They're shooting, you must go home. The mothers have to walk in the streets while the shooting is happening. The children have to walk in the streets while the shooting is happening. And the principal and the education department must apply their minds. The safest place for that child to be is in the school when the shooting is happening. So we have to change the way in which we manage children's lives around schooling. They should be in school after hours, after school programs. Why is it that there are no parks, there are no after school programs in community halls? We've got community halls that are being used as ward councillor offices and nothing else. Where are the after school programs, the recreation programs, the skills programs? Children need a diversion from being on the streets to being in community centres where they're being going through recreation programs if they're very young, going through skills programs if they're teenagers or nearly finishing school or have finished school. But to put children on the streets when shooting starts is just stupid. And I can't understand how the Western Cape Education Department allows this to happen, allows principals to put children on the streets as soon as the shooting starts. So the solution is not only in policing. Yes, the policing has failed us. But as a city government, the city government has also failed us. They don't maintain sports fields anymore. They don't at all. They've outsourced it to communities to do so, and so the wealthy communities can maintain their sports fields, and those communities with no money cannot maintain their sports fields, and they're just dust bowls. They don't build play parks for children that are safe. Children fall off swings and they die. We had a little boy, 10-year-old boy, crushed to death at a park in Delft because the wheel fell off the axis. So we have to build the community facilities, and that is a municipal function. It's a municipal function to provide recreation spaces, sports facilities, and after-school programs for those children so that they're not on the streets and in danger. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to be ashamed, but I don't speak for South Africa. I speak for the Western Cape. I think that the people of KwaZulu-Natal, the people of the Eastern Cape, the people of Gauteng, they must find their own solutions. I have suggestions for them, but I think everyone can govern themselves better if they control their own provinces. What I'm going to speak on behalf of is the Western Cape. And let me give you some very scary numbers here. As bad as the apartheid government was, from 1948 until 1994, guess how many murders we had in South Africa? 21,000 murders from 1948 to 1994. Since the ANC took over in 1994, we've had over 600,000 murders in the last 32 years. We have 20,000 murders per year. So we are not going to fix this by remaining part of the South African failed system. Now, if we want to stop crime here in the Western Cape, first of all, we believe the best way is to control our own police force, to declare the Western Cape an independent country. Once we're an independent country, we will be able to...
Can we be quiet and just give the speaker respect, please?
We'll be able to cut taxes in half, have double the amount of money for our own police force, and I'll tell you what criminals go around murdering senselessly. One, the economic situation. We've had more than 1 million people flood into the Western Cape over the last 10 years. There's only a certain amount of jobs available. So we need to protect the jobs for the Cape people first. And I'll tell you another thing. If a criminal knows that he's going to spend the next few years of his life getting a free meal in jail, he doesn't care about taking your mother or your sister's life. If we bring back the death penalty, I'll tell you right now, these people will think twice about what they do. Thank you very much.
Just to respond to the question, I think the question was, is it normal? It's absolutely outrageous that there's a signage in the entire Manenberg that says children stay out of the way because of gunshots. And I think for this current city, this current government has cancelled funding of the walking bus, a community-led initiative. And my focus as Bossa would be, it needs to be community-led and community-driven. We need to protect our own. Because no man or woman in blue uniform, Sheriff JP is not going to do it. He has over 6 billion rand that he's spending over the next 4 to 5 years with a drone here and a drone there on technology. And the shootings has increased. So it's a prioritization of funding. And I'm saying we as Bossa is willing to take the risk to skew funding and put it back in the very community where these are happening places. There's great initiatives happening. Bring back the walking bus is one of those solutions. But lastly, The issue of crime, it's complex. It doesn't just, it's not an issue in isolation. Crime is somehow connected to opportunities, like housing is connected to transport. It's very, very, very complex. So lastly is that I feel that we also, as a community, have a responsibility to keep our community safe. There is not enough policemen, there is not enough JPs around. So we know in the community who the culprits are. We know in the community what is happening, where is happening. And we need to be courageous enough. We need to be courageous enough to go and remove that signage in Manenberg that says gunshots. That is absolute nonsense. So we also as a community and families have a responsibility and not just look at government. That is where I want to leave it.
Thank you very much. I just want to say, Jonathan says, I like the statement, the safest place for a child in Manenberg is in school. And then he also says, the Cape Town independent guy has no clue what happens on the flats. I want to invite him to come to Manenberg. So I think you should take Jonathan up on that offer. Can we just open sign? Yes, absolutely.
Amper dank, okay. Dankie. Look, I think we need to move away from treating the symptoms of our problems. Because the Cape Flats and Manenberg and Hanover Park is not a community to be policed. The issue we have, the root of the cause, is the fact that there's no opportunity. What I said earlier about moving the government or the government offices to the Cape Flats means that when you move the government, you move the economy. When you move the economy, you move the opportunity. That's how you deal with the issues, with the root cause of crime and children being shot in the communities. Because you're going to send more police force and then you're going to send them to prison. But you're not solving the problem that is there. Let us stop treating crime or trying to solve the symptoms of the problem and deal with the root cause of the problem. And that is a lack of opportunity, the fact that there's no economy in those communities and that the only economy is outside of the Cape Flats. And that is why there's no shooting and crime happening there where the economy is. So let's move the economy to the community and not the people to the city center. Thank you.
Yeah, please explain why. Thank you.
I think everybody is hell-bent on bringing the DA below 50%. I don't think anybody should. I want to encourage, if you have that, hy snaakse gedagte het, asseblief, let us change Cape Town by keeping the DA from being the party that is still governing. To answer the question, it's simply, absolutely not.
I said deep kyk, Jan. Let it take me deep. PK to PK. Look, coalition government is the future of the city. It's the future of the country. Whether we like it or not, that is where it's at. I'm excited by coalition government. I'm excited very much in the city of Cape Town because that is going to be the future for the Devil's Alliance post the 4th of November. They're going to have to work with others. And for me, it's not about setting up a coalition. It's not about the positions, because that is kind of the reference we've seen. It becomes all about visie mayor, visie deputy, what are you taking, what I'm taking. But there needs to be a concrete plan that puts the resident of Cape Town right at the center. And whoever's elected, you are there by grace to implement that plan. And that is important, one. So as Bossa, we are open. We are open to work with anyone that puts the resident in the center. As Bossa, we are saying it is about time that there's accountability in the room, because we have the Democratic Alliance that's bullying Cape Townians, making decisions on for the majority of people, and we are saying we're going to be that voice of reason. We're going to be in that boardroom around that table, rational, sober, not emotional, to make sure that we make Cape Town easier and not harder for ordinary families in Cape Town.
I'll answer the same as Larry did. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we've been saying for 19 years when we started the Cape Independence Party that we have to get the DA underneath 50%. The DA is as bad for the Western Cape as the ANC has been bad for South Africa. What are our options left there? If we've got the ANC and the EFF that's sitting around about 20%, we've got the DA hopefully dropping to around about 40%. what we would do is we would accept working with the DA, provided they gave the people of the Western Cape and the people of Cape Town referendums on controlling our own police force, keeping more of our taxes here, bringing an end to black economic empowerment, providing houses to people of the Cape first, and various issues. We would not budge on those issues, and under those conditions, yes, we would work with the DA. Thank you.
Your first question was, do we think that the DA will fall below 50%? I think they deserve to. And so I think that's the starting point. Whether voters, and whether they will, depends on whether voters turn out. Because there's a differential turnout in voting. Affluent communities show up and vote in high numbers, and as you get into poorer communities, so the turnout drops. And so the Democratic Alliance is basically elected by the people who show up. And so they deserve to lose their majority. If they were to lose their majority, who would we coalition with? We would coalition with those parties whose focus is on the communities that need government the most vulnerable. Those who say that our priority are the people who say to me, "Ons sal altyd swaar kry." Doesn't have to be like that. We will coalition with the parties who will serve the most vulnerable and the people who rely on government the most.
And I thank you. So quick. I've been around to many municipalities within the Western Cape. I've seen coalition governments and our municipalities collapse. But what I want to say here tonight is, leaders, we need to go back to our constituencies. We can't answer that question here. Our constituencies must decide for us, and we will give the answer that our constituencies give. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Within the PA, we have not made a definite decision, and will be led by the leadership of the organization. But there is talks in the organization that it's unlikely that we will go into collision with the DA. Thank you.
Luister, ik het alle jaren bedreven. En ik het net gezien wat hulle vir my gedoen het. Nie vir ons mense nie. Ik wacht nou nog op mijn trappies wat aangekomen is, want daar is die trappies in. Nee? En hulle is kwaad vir my. Ik weet nie vir hoe kom nie. Maar die rede is die, onze mensen is agter. En ik sê altyd, as onze mense wat ook saam met die DA werk, maar hulle doen niks vir ons gemeenskap nie. En hulle kan baie gedoen het in die tyd wat hulle in die bewind gewees het. So, ek weet nie, die president moet maar sê wat hy gaan doen, maar soos ek sê, ek sal nie meer sê.
Thank you, Miss. The word coalition, good, orange t-shirt, orange socks. Is it a coincidence? Okay, quickly, we're just going to move. I think you.
Oh, thank you. Is it on? Hi, everyone. My name is Lindoku Shepatiwa. I have a question for Jack Miller. Understanding the history of the country, right? It's a fact of history that in 1652, unfortunately, people that you come as descendants of came and divided this country, killed our people here in Lisbik, in one of the first areas of our society. So that's one. The second quick one is, I think, general one to everyone. And it's on the project of the flats. I think it's a more meta-political one. Is the flats project a salvageable one? Again, understanding the history of how the township has been a colonial construction. And by design, by its very design, a violent one. Today, I mean, I come from Nyanga East, grew up in Lower Crossroad. I call myself a light defender flats. And we are all proud, but we never ask ourselves, what are we proud of? What's being proud of by coming from Manyenberg? What's proud about coming from Khayelitsha and Sewage? So I think the question here, fundamental one, is it perhaps not time to just rethink the flat itself Is it not time maybe we say to our people, part of the reason why we are still here, we are still doing this thing, is because when you go and Toito, we know that we have a place to come back. And Shem, I know we love it because that's where you had your first kiss, you had your first love, whatever. But is it not time to say to our people, when we are going to go and protest, we ban the township so that we have no place to come back to. And they will know that we have no other place but to go to where the resources are in the southern suburbs, in the Atlantic seaboard. Because it seems that we are going to continue to say and placate and try and fix something that is by design. The violence that we see in the Cape flares, we say that we cannot police it, we cannot make social interventions enough. It is precisely because it was by design to be like that. So are we not trying the impossible here? Thank you.
I think I'm moving to that party. Buti? So we're going to give Jack and your answer respond, and then I'm going to hand over to the...
As we speak, 16 shots went off in Mannenberg.
Okay, thank you. Can I answer quickly? Thank you very much. So yeah, that's a great question, and I think we've all been brainwashed to not understand history properly. We think history started in 1994, or 1948, when the apartheid government took over. Some of us.
Testing 1, 2. Okay, yeah, we've been brainwashed by the current political system and the previous political system to think that history started in 1994 or 1948 when the apartheid government took over. Some of us know about the history of South Africa. A lot of people actually don't know this. That the Union of South Africa started in 1910 after the British Empire committed genocide against the Afrikaners and the Boers in the Boer War and murdered women and children to bring about the Union of South Africa, a colonial construct. So I agree with you, brother. We need to put an end to colonialism. We need to put an end to the Union of South Africa, which is actually imposed on us by the British Empire. Now, prior to 1910, let's go into the history. It's a very interesting history. We at Cape Exit acknowledge the Khoi and the San as the First Nations. We acknowledge that the Khoi and the San didn't just inhabit the Cape or South Africa. The Khoi and the San go all the way up to the Horn of Africa by Ethiopia. Now let me tell you what happened. In the Bantu migrations from Central Africa down, you had the Khoi and the San getting wiped out. There are cemeteries up in Central Africa running down of Khoi and San, all the way down. You know where it came to an end? It came to an end at the Fish River. The Khoi and the San were wiped out by the Bantu tribes in the Bantu migrations. What happened here in the Cape was in 1652 when the Dutch arrived. They didn't have any women on the boat. So what happened is you had intermarrying between the Dutch and the French and the Khoi and the San, and then the slaves from Malaysia and Indonesia, which created the melting pot language of Afrikaans, which is the bedrock of the Cape today. It's the bedrock of the Cape identity. White people who think that they're white, they've got Khoi and San ancestors going back. Colored people who say that they know they're 100% Khoi San, you've got some Dutch heritage, you've got some French heritage there, with your blue eyes, etc. The Cape is an example of where we didn't go to the point of committing genocide like we've seen in other parts of South Africa. Even South Africa, Shaka Zulu in the Mfecane created Lesotho. He slaughtered the black tribes around the Zulu nations there. So the Tswanas had to flee up into the mountains, which created an independent country called Lesotho. You also have Swaziland, another independent country within South Africa. So, to answer your question, Cape Exit stands for the true rainbow nation, which is Khoi, San, Brown, White, and even Fengu, who fought alongside the Afrikaners against the causes. So we have got Fengu people that have been living here for over 100 years that are part of the Cape culture. So we embrace all of these different tribes. It's not about skin color, it's about cultural identity, and that's what we stand for at Cape Exit. Thank you very much.
And so I'm going to ask, I know the Khoisan movement is here, and yeah. Afterwards, over coffee, you can have a chat with Mr. Muller. For some of the chiefs in the room, yeah.
Hi, my name is Zachary Titus. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to say thank you so much for Alan Pakis, a woman of our history and where she comes from, that you decided to take up the struggle that started in the 1400s. It's a very difficult struggle. It's a very hard and difficult path. I want to thank you for your effort and what your contribution is so far. So my first question to the panel is, I had rumors that not even the city of Cape Town, not even the Western Cape province government gives any funding, not a 5 rand, not a 2 rand, to this heritage site, heritage of the colored people, the Khoi and San. How is that fair? Is colored people not part of South Africa? Is the Khoi and San not part of the city of Cape Town? Is that correct? That not even a 5 rand, not even a 2 rand that you give to this place. That is incorrect. And then the second question I want to ask, I was yesterday here, I first found about this place. I was walking around here, there was development taking place. Not a single colored person working here. So how are you going to solve crime when you don't empower colored people economically? So I want to ask, is it correct, yes or no, that colored people are not allowed to work here or are not working here? Is that correct, yes or no? I don't want long stories, I just want yes or no. Because the discrimination that's been happening against colored people in the city of Cape Town is wrong and it must come to an end. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna take another question. I think it was here quickly.
Good evening, everyone. I want to speak to Mr. Miller from Cape Independence. Your opening shot was the definition of insanity to do something over again. You've been campaigning, I think, on the Cape Independence issue since 2009 or 2004. You can correct me. The people of South Africa have told you no. They don't care. They think your independence issue is a fallacy, it's a lunacy. So don't you think you should take a bit of your own advice? Because you come here speaking about issues, about historical issues, and the rest of the people here are dealing with real world issues. Gang violence, all of us live, some of us live in the suburbs, but I cannot separate myself from the township. I have family in Mitchell's Plain who don't care about your independence fallacy. So, when are you going to take your own advice since 2009 and say, well, the people are saying no, and start maybe campaigning on some other issue besides Cape independence? Because maybe you are speaking about other issues, but your headline issue is Cape independence, and we are saying, not me, but the people at the voter box at the electoral are saying no to you. So please tell us how you're going to take your own advice.
Thank you. I think that's more of, I'm not sure if you want to respond, but I think it's more of a statement. This Honorable Adams order. I think, yeah, I just want to say, you didn't introduce yourself. Can I introduce you? This is Wesley Fester. He's a journalist, international journalist, film producer, and yeah. And he's from the Kasi. Okay, quickly. I'm going to get to you. I just want to. Auntie Avril is going to go now. I also have she's one of the patriarchs of the city. Her name is Lucinda Evans. She's not here, but she's online. She's watching you, Fadil. She's from Felisa Abafazi, Betu. We know that she's an activist. And one of the biggest things that she's campaigning for is the baby catcher. She wants to know, it's August month, mayoral candidates, what is the plan around GBV and child protection in lieu of what is going on in the budget cuts with children, CYCC, and we know this is a provincial issue. And then also, why are there no will to stop GBV? What are they going to do in the first 100 days? You better ask all of them. That's what she said. And then I'm going to ask Auntie Avril from Manova Park. She also wants to ask a question.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I had many questions, but as you heard, what's happening now in
Menenberg is happening in Hanover Park as well. So I've worked in the community of Hanover Park for over 40 years. And then about 10 years ago, I've started an organization in Hanover Park after I've seen Woody Menses sickle and also after I lost my son. And just opposite our road, as you heard about the clipwares, they were shooting there, and we identified this piece of land, you know. But before that, I created my home for safe spaces for women, for families that was affected with gang violence. We started a movement called the Moms Move for Justice, Peace and Reconciliation. So we worked, the organization is standing now for 11 years. So we identified this piece of land and we inquired about this piece of land, and it wasn't earmarked for anything from the city of Cape Town. And then we applied, they sent us the application form. Everything went through and we got a 10-year lease. But because of the sub-council chairperson, and I want to ask all parties, what do you do in a case like this? The city hasn't given us a cent for this 11 years, getting to 11 years that I'm working with the organization. And the sub-council 11 has declined this application. We are still on the lane, we are still working on the lane, and it's through partners that we are still standing, this organization is still standing. One of our main partners is in this meeting as well. And through that, we created spaces, safe spaces like Pictures for Peace, where tires were built at schools for children, for Afrikaans. Ek het 'n bietjie Afrikaans praat, my Engels raak op man. Ek raak nervous. Julle kyk my so aan. Yeah. So for these children, and it was especially, you know, designed for them. Also hydroponic gardens at schools through partners. And then we created safe spaces from my home and then opposite. But the city of Cape Town has sent us an eviction letter again to get off the land. They're not happy with the development. And, but my concern is, what did you do with what happened before that? And I will agree with this gentleman here. The system is designed for us to fail. You know, it was designed, and it's as of jy werk in a brick wall. And as a woman, as now a pensioner, I'm still working on that. So what would you do in a case like that? You know, how will you be able to help us and assist us? Because from that piece of land, 800 portions of food is going out every day to the unemployed. Every day, Mondays to Fridays. And then there's after school programs. There's an ECD that was started because of people that can't afford to send their children to an ECD. And we were told we must get off the land. Thank you.
So we're going to, Larry, I want us to answer everything at the end because we're running out of time. I'm sorry there's hands there, we can't have it, but I want this gentleman to answer, and then Mr. Jacobs, yeah, and then Fadil. I just want to say, I know Auntie Avril is speaking, she's very, very strategic. She's very gentle in what she's saying, but she's being harassed. There's people pulling up permits. Law enforcement keep coming to this lady. There's a lawyer behind her that's been sent to the venue on the premise. So I really want you to ask him, even if it's afterwards.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chessyn Watson. I am originally from Lavendale, but I'm in Otter at the moment doing community work. I would like to know, how would your administration fund localized skill hubs and job pipelines to give our young people viable alternatives to gang recruitment? And I also would like to know what plans are in place for our youth that were forced to drop out of school in primary school and not able to study or basically get employment.
And then we
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Joseph Jacobs, proud member of the One Nation, One Love Alliance. I've got a question, right? And I share your sentiment. We've come a long way. I think we spoke about, we had this conversation at the last election. And it's really not a good taste that we have to come back and ask the same questions again, because it means that it wasn't even addressed in the past, so we have to come back and ask the same questions again. I do share the sentiment of Chessyn Watson. We've worked together on peace building programs on the Cape Flats for quite some time now. I've got a question to the panel. How are we going to address the injustices of the past? I do understand some people might think that we do need a radical approach, which is sometimes necessary. I also do believe that we need to go back and think in terms of how our freedom came about. It was negotiated, right? There was things that were put in place so that we can get to where we are now. Not much has changed. Of course, we can go to the same beaches as, as the white. It doesn't mean that we are entirely free. We are still subjected to apartheid spatial planning communities. That still has not changed. There's one road that divides Manenberg and Guguletu. There's one road that divides Khayelitsha and Mitchell's Plain. There's systematic issues and problems that we are still dealing with that government has failed to address locally, provincially, and nationally. So my question is to the incoming mayors or those that potentially sit here, looking to take up that job. How are we going to address the injustices of the past so that we can have a country, a community free from violence, free from fear of violence, so that our young people can truly, reach their full potential? There's so much that we can produce, but we've got so little resources. So I'm asking again on behalf of the young people of Cape Town, what is the plan of action? Issues. Guguletu also has the same issues. So many people are just focused on addressing the colored issue, which is important. I'm one of them that will continue to advocate for the colored struggle to be addressed. But again, what are we then saying to the young people of Philippi? What are we saying to the young people of Nyanga? What are we saying to the young people of Guguletu? Are we selective in what our future generations should look like? Or are we saying, let's work towards an integrated, true rainbow nation, something that truly works for all? And then, quick question. What is your plans with local economic development for Cape Town? Ons ken hoe lyk Town Center. We know the situation of Bellville. Hoe se mense tree daar en hoe hulle gearrest word met permits en red tape. So wat is julle planne om daai te address? Local economic development plan for Cape Town and young people in particular. Thank you so much.
Huge deal. Literally have 30 seconds, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kalshanto Ravel. I'm part of the center and why it's standing here. And the fact that we had my question to you is, although the history is so well known, the previous regime did nothing about it, just swept it under the floor. This regime is keeping us on the line with a bill and an act. How do you recognize people that you know are the true soil or the true people of the land? So there's a bill now, currently waiting to be signed into an act, but it's written in such a way that it kicks our people out again, asking us to prove who we are, yet knowing the history. So I want to know what is going to be done about this recognition that's been kicked back and forth by politicians for the past 30 years. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to give over to Mr. Adams. Turn to your neighbor quickly and say to your neighbor, ek gaan nou lekker eet.
Thank you very much, Tammy. I've been waiting so long for this, I actually forgot what I wanted to ask, but I'll start off with a comment, and I want to thank all of you for adopting, essentially, the NCC manifesto for the 2021 LGE. Thank you very much. At the time, we were criticized as being racist, but now we can admit it was visionary. So, I've just got a very, very quick question here. I've sat here and I've listened to Mr. Miller in particular speak about how metropolitan Cape Town is, how reflective of the Rainbow Nation it is. But what you forgot, Mr. Miller, was to tell us that Cape Town is the most segregated place in the country. Whites live in white areas, coloreds in colored areas, blacks in townships. That's Cape Town. And that's the part you don't talk about. And you say you want to secede from the country for the benefit of Cape Townians. Brilliant. But all I hear you tell us is about RDP housing, RDP housing. As Aboriginals, we are worth more than RDP housing. You haven't mentioned the expropriation of the land, handing the land back to the true owners of the land. Families like mine from Constantia and Deep River. And you won't, because that's not your play. Now, we understand what's at play. My question to you is, if we're to talk about secession, what is in it for the people of color? The people from Langa, from Mitchell's Plain? Because secession, as I read it in the Cape Exit Manifesto, is being done to preserve white privilege, something we can never support. Thank you.
Well done, Mr. Adams. So I'm going to ask.
1 minute.
Is there? Yes. So what I'm gonna ask is that I know, Larry, you want to ask or answer a specific question. I'm gonna ask you to really, to be short, and then I'm gonna ask that you use wisdom, that you don't have to answer every question that was asked, a specific question that is very close to your heart, and then I'm going to ask that we have engagement afterwards if they don't ask, just in terms of time and wisdom.
Thank you. With regards to the inequality issue, I think nationally people know that we've taken the Minister of Labour and Employment as well as the Democratic Alliance, who was opposed us. We actually won the first part of the case, which deals with the Employment Equity Act, which says that 80% of people, if you look at the regulations, of jobs goes to black people. And then when we come to the Cape, the demographics are very different in the Cape. How does that work here in the Cape? And that, because of the national legislation, it actually is, it shows you, how people in the Cape are affected by the fact that they don't get opportunities. So we have to change the law if we want to change how people live. And those are the things we're championing. In the beginning, we said that, let us show you what we've been doing, and then you'll know what we're going to do when we have the power. What we want to do with power is change policies as it relates to the demographics of the Cape, so that Cape Town can be reflected in the employment sector as they are in the Cape Flats and the rest of Cape Town. I also want to say to the lady that mentioned there that, we can engage, we will engage with the minister. As I've mentioned to you, these are things that we're really dealing with to make sure that people are given access to land. There's a new bill also coming out, which is called the Equitable Access to Land, which is actually going to blow the DA, but we are serious about giving people land and making sure that our people, especially in the Cape, are prioritized and that they have true representation and access to jobs and housing and things like that. Thank you.
Sure. Firstly, I think my brother from the PAC, your question on is it realistic or doable to change the Cape Flats? Absolutely. There's hope for the Cape Flats. It is unrealistic to tell the Cape Flats to accept the way their life is now, and it's going to get harder. That is madness. So there is hope, and it's for us to ensure that every single day in our various domains of society, we are pushing so that we can redesign, re-engineer, and redream a better Cape Flats for everyone. So please don't lose hope. We've got to do this for the Cape Flats. Quick one, I'm not too sure about the institution here. Apparently, you said not getting funded by government. I don't know how true or not true that is. It is very sad if it's not happening. But please, if you can share your account details with us, and I make a commitment on behalf of myself and Bosa to contribute to the great work you're doing here. Auntie Avril, please, we are going to form a human chain, all of us, these parties. There's no way the city is going to evict you and the great work you're doing. I commit, Bosa, I commit myself to be there on that day. Please let us know the day, the time, and I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues that we will be there, irrespective of political affiliation, to make sure that the Devil Alliance doesn't get away. They are absolutely crazy in their heads. Nothing about us without us, and I think that is what women specifically feel, that various decisions with regards to GBVF, etc., is being made. But when we find that these decisions are being made without the women themselves, and I think over past the decade, my experience in government, both locally, nationally, intergovernmental relations needs to be strengthened. Because our people on the ground don't understand what is local government, what is provincie, what is national. They just see government. So it is us to ensure that once we are elected and in the system, that we strengthen the intergovernmental relations with regards to GBVF. Right now, BOSA has pushed for the National Sex Register offense. It's currently sitting in Parliament, garnered over 20,000 signatures. When we said as BOSA, we want the names of that over 30,000 monsters to be made available. They must be shamed and they must be known to the public. There has been a huge fight we've been doing in Parliament, and we've gotten it through now to where the parties are going to vote. So please, caucus, lobby your parties here to support that bill. We need to know who these monsters are, who these people are driving our kids to school, probably teaching or having sports with them. We need to know who they are, and we need to name and shame them. Lastly, when I'm elected as mayor, I will prioritize this issue by making a political appointment right in my office. I will get 1 or 2 competent professional people in the GBVF space. I will make a political appointment. Every single day, these persons will eat, sleep, GBVF every single day. They will serve Cape Townians, they will serve this specific sector, and I know that I can do that as well. The city has facilities. The city has facilities, but we are not repurposing or using these facilities. We need more shelters to be in our communities. We need to make it easier for people like Auntie Avril and many other NGOs like Lucinda, make it easier for them to serve our people instead of the red tape and the audacity to want to kick Auntie Avril and team off the ground. Lastly, is that we take GBVF very serious as BOSA. Part of our potential candidates program is that they are doing a specific component and section on GBVF. It is important that the public reps that are elected also be trained on this. Yes, to prevent, but also some of them are perpetrators themselves. So we take that very seriously, not first vote for us and then we're doing it right now. Every BOSA potential candidate, as part of our training, is going through GBVF and what their role and responsibility is as a BOSA candidate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks. I didn't realize I had a fan from 19 years ago there, but sir, you're 100% right. The Cape Independence Party was started in 2007, but we got our first seat in government in 2021. So we've only been in government for 5 years, and it's very difficult to fight against a rigged system. And everyone who's talking about this rigged system is 100% correct. The DA and the ANC are two heads of the same beast. We don't have the money that the DA has. We don't have the money that the ANC has. So we have fought tooth and nail to get into government. And we achieved that in 2021. In the last 5 years, we have done more, we believe, with those 2 seats to fight for the best interests of the people of the Cape than virtually any other party. Just last week, I was in council. I was the only man to stand up and vote against the DA who wants to expand the informal settlements into the PHA, the Philippi Horticultural Area. These farmlands which we've had, which feed the people of Cape Town, which feed the people of Mitchell's Plain, these areas are being eaten up by land invaders who are taking away the rightful ownership of the Cape people. So we intend to grow from strength to strength, and we hope to double our seats in the next elections and beyond. But just to answer your question, yeah, it's been 5 years since we've been in government. To Fadil, goodness, this question about Cape Independence being racist, there is absolutely nothing racist about Cape Independence. Let me tell you, die brain mens is die meerderheid in the Cape. I'm telling you, when the Cape becomes independent, the people who are going to steer things here are the indigenous people who've lived here for the longest. And to answer that person's question back there, why aren't there colored people at the front desk, working at the gates, all around here? Why? Because of black economic empowerment imposed on us by the ANC government from above, which the DA imposes on us here in the Western Cape. If we want to break it, you guys are going to have to stand together and take power back and take control of the Cape. If we put up with the South African unitary system for another 5 years, we're going to be back here again in 5 years and you'll be asking those same questions. Cape independence is the one and only thing that will deliver you and your people what you want. So, to the question about Cape independence and why are we still hammering away on it? You know what? You don't even need to believe in Cape independence to vote for the Cape Independence Party. Scotland has a Scottish independence movement. Quebec has got an independence movement. Government and politics is about negotiating power. If we get just 5% of the vote, we will put a gun on the table that says, listen here, we've got an ace card up our sleeve. We've got an ace card up our sleeve. If you don't give more colored people jobs in the Western Cape, then we will make the Cape independent. If you don't keep more of our taxes here in the Western Cape, then we will make the Cape independent. So we can remain part of South Africa, but you've got to negotiate from a position of power. Cape independence is the one negotiating card that we have. Otherwise, we're all going to go to the ANC and the DA and say, oh, please will you change this? Please can you do that? Please will you tinker at the edges? You've got to go in there with force, with authority and say, listen, ons is hatful, and we're going to make the Cape independent unless you do something about it and change these ridiculous policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure, did you say white taxes? Because I don't really know. Did I mishear you? But there's no such thing as white taxes. Jeez. All right, let's talk about some of the question. The funding of the centre, I'm not shocked that it's not being funded. I'm not shocked at all. The Western Cape provincial government doesn't recognise that there are any traditional leaders living in the Western Cape. But it very conveniently finds traditional or First Nations when it needs public participation, public comment, ribbon cutting. It can find people. But it doesn't establish a traditional leaders council and says that there are no traditional leaders in the Western Cape. So I'm not surprised that this is not funded, but it should be funded, and it must be funded. On the question around the land in Hanover Park, let's start by just saying where good party starts. Public land for public good, not public land for public developers or to be sold off like we've been seeing the sales of land at the moment. So, ma'am, the answer to your question is that you should not be evicted from that land. The government should be partnering with you because you're providing a service that government should be providing itself. Government has a social development role to play in terms of the Constitution, but it is unable to do so everywhere. And so it relies on charitable people to do the work that it should be doing. And where people are doing good work, government should be partnering with those people and not undermining them and pulling the rug from under them and removing the land that they need, that the city has no plan for. So, social development, food security. In the Constitution, everyone is guaranteed the right to food. But in South Africa, government just leaves it for the good-hearted people in Hanover Park who are cooking food 800 meals a day, looking after children after school. It has become outsourced to charities without any support from government, and that has to change. So as the City of Cape Town, we can partner with you. We can give you that land, not on a 10-year lease. We can give it to you permanently. And you can build your centre, and you can be supported by a government that really cares and that understands its constitutional duty. It is a constitutional duty to support the work that you're doing, and it must be done. The injustices of the past, I think the comment was, not much has changed. I would say nothing has changed. There is still a hierarchy. You spoke about the spatial planning of the spatial apartheid planning hasn't changed, but nothing has changed. Spatially, nothing has changed. Economically, the hierarchy still exists. And so, spatially and economically, we haven't changed enough. It's going to take fearlessness. It's going to take courage. It's going to take vision, but it is achievable. I really do believe it's achievable if you have the right leadership, and the right leadership has to acknowledge that the injustices of the past have not been addressed. And the current mayor of Cape Town says that spatial apartheid is a myth. So we have a mayor who doesn't acknowledge the injustices of the past and that they persist today. So the starting point is to acknowledge that the injustices of the past persist today in Cape Town, and they are perpetuated by this government. They are perpetuated. They're not just managed, they're perpetuated. And once you acknowledge that, you can develop the plans to integrate communities and to invest in those communities where there's been underinvestment. There were so many questions, I would love to answer them all, but I know we're running out of time.
Afterwards.
Okay, this one, for this month, let me first rise and say, you know what? A nation can rise no higher than its woman. When you teach a man, you teach an individual. When you teach a woman, you teach a nation. Usakuva. Right. Now let me go back to the question that Joseph asked with regards to local economic development and how does it work within our communities. Now I said it before, remember this used to be a university. So back in the days, we had the red door centers. And the red door centers was situated in all the areas across the Cape Flats, right? Now with the red door center, you could go in there, you could start your business, they will hold your profile, make sure that you comply with SARS, make sure that everything is in order, your business account. When you come out of there, you will be a business owner, right? With the business. I've seen many businesses rise back in the days, just before the administration was changed. Those people had to go and sell their stuff because there was not work for them anymore. What we will do is, we will make sure that we reopen all the red door centers. And then we will bring back local economic development offices. There used to be local economic development officers that was trained to help our people, to make sure that our traders get the permits that they deserve, to make sure that our local businesses get the funding that they deserve. Because when you support SMEs, it creates direct jobs within our communities. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. So, a colleague of the PAC who just and spoke about the political situation. I want to say to him that I recognize what he is saying. And so in that particular aspect, we need to reimagine an integrated Cape Town. We need to reimagine the Cape Flats and take away the current stigma that we have attached to the people of Cape Town. And so that particular exercise will take quite some time, and it needs intentional policy reposition for that to happen. I want to say to my auntie at the back there with that issue about your land, I've spoken to our attorney right now on WhatsApp as you spoke, and I want to commit to you that by tomorrow morning, he will make contact with you to ensure that you are protected. Ons bysa nie, ons gaan nie terugstaan vir die stad Kaapstad en hulle bullying tactics nie. But it's also under PA administration that we want to say that public land will be used for the people. And so we will give land to ECDs and organizations that work with gender-based violence victims. Now, it's not only women that suffers under gender-based violence, it's also men. And we also need to recognize that, and we need to be frank about it. Men sometimes don't know of speaking out, and I understand it is an ego thing. But under the PA, we will make sure that institutions and organizations like yourself is supported not only by giving you land, but this GIA funding that you always hear of, that is something we're going to scrap, because if you don't meet a particular criteria, you can't apply for GIA funding. But under PA administration, we will make sure you have land, you have the money to do what you need to do on that piece of land. I want to conclude by saying that the City of Cape Town's youth policy is not focused on young people. It is focused on high school learners. It's not focused on the out-of-school young people and the unemployed young persons. So under a PA administration, the youth policy will have to be relooked. In fact, policy position within local government must be relooked, because you cannot only focus on employment opportunities for young people and you forget about their parents. That is the unfortunate reality. And so under PA administration, we will be intentional in our policy in terms of integrated implementation. I also want to then say that young people will have great opportunity when it comes to the PA, because this learner license program that young people have to pay every single time, we need to relook that. Because our young people is not employable because of stumbling blocks like that. And so we are saying if you are able to give a young person or any unemployed person at least a learner license free of charge, they pay for the driver's license, you at least have given them something to start their employment journey with. And so it's under peer administration that we believe that Cape Town can be integrated and a city that works for all. Thank you.
Ik wil niet samen met de antipraat, wat gezegd daar van die reep. Ik wil ook niet zeggen dat ik was geregistreerd en die government moest voor ons een reep gebouwd in Levendale. And they never came to help, you know. And then they built it here in East River. There they built new two reaps. But the people don't get assistance. And for me, I decided now, that is how I want to support my people, you know, the people in our communities. It doesn't matter what color, where they come from, or they're rich or they're poor. It gets to all of our people. And I just want to say I'm here to listen and to learn about what our community needs are. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you, everybody. We have come to an end now, but before we end, ik ga nou die omstuur geld, die tieners vat. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I think it went well. Normally these things, we had 2 years ago where we had to get the police van to come fetch. Serious, we had to come fetch one of the councillors to take them home because the one didn't agree with the other one, and then it became almost a violent thing. So I thank you all for being a part of this and for making this a great thing, you know. Anti-Everal's thing has been coming on for a long time. It has been coming on for a couple of years. We've mobilized. And I want to mention the name, and we mustn't say the city of Cape Town. We must say Antonio van Rede is the problem. No? It has been going on like that for years. There's pictures where I posted where he stands with his hand and he shows it at a... Now, I take this woman as my mother's because I am a gender-based violence activist and I fight for people. So when you take that auntie, you take me on. And I want to encourage you, please come with your lawyers. If it's your gene, you can contact me. I will give you all the details. I have it. You know, the time has come for us to take our place back and our rightful ownership, right? We are agreeing with everything. A couple of years back, Carl, 2 years ago, the guy was removed from the pancake, the guy in Muizenberg. He almost lost his livelihood, his family. And all they said was, he mustn't stand there because he doesn't have a permit, but he's applied for a permit for 3 years. So you want to make this, and Jordan said this, I want to say this live, he was on my show and he said, before he became mayor, he was Jordan Lewis, he said, you want to make this a place for everybody to make business conveniently. It's not easy, or people are being removed from Gatesville, they are being removed from Town Centre because they don't have permits. I see it every day, I get the messages, I am the owner of Cape Fleet Stories, people speak to me. So we need to address this. And for those people that are saying, but where's the DA? We have invited them. I hear the things on Facebook. You know what? If they can't come to the party, they mustn't lead us. And we must be very firm about that. We want leaders with integrity. And we don't want leaders to give us money and tell us to keep our mouths. We want them to come and listen to the people. Because it's the people's voice that matter. And so as I end off, and I'm going to get flagged for this tomorrow, I want to just mention something. There's a white man that I love very dearly. And he's a white man that works on the Cape Flats. If you drive through a Nova Park, you will see his name there, his organization's name, Otando. He's rebuilding the Cape Flats. His name is James. James, just stand quickly. That is a man. I drove through a Nova Park and I saw our schools are being made better. They are coloring the schools, they're building sports fields without government money. So if you guys can support him this coming Thursday at Goal 50, you can ask him afterwards. Please support him. Anti-Everal supporter. The fight doesn't stop here. The fight continues. And we are the soldiers. So we're going to go to the back and we're going to eat. And you guys, there's no VIP sections. You guys can interact with the mayoral candidates. I know you guys want to talk to Jack. And Jack want to talk to you guys. So do build the relationship, Jack. It's a good time. But also what is very important for us is to be respectful. Because we honor that fighters as people fight on Facebook and TikTok, we are better than that. We're civil people. Guys, be blessed and stay tuned for the next one. It will be in October. Thanks.
Sorry, just give me a minute. Can I just get a minute? And somebody thanks gedoen. I'll come and do the thanks officially. I just also want to, I just want to publicly thank, let me get the pronunciation right. I want to thank the Frederick Norman Foundation for Freedom for believing in this vision that we have. They're assisting us to launch all of these public debates. And so it's important that we honor people and then everyone else. But I'm going to give over to Mark to do the thank you quickly.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everyone, for your patience. And leaders, thank you very much for an engagement that is much needed in our country and in our province as well. It is very exciting because everyone seems to be very excited and very passionate about our province and our people. And we love things that are involving people and how do we make things better. So with that said, this is the first of many engagements, and I welcome all of you to join us in our follow-up as well. And I want to say, with all due respect, I think everyone here is praying for our country. Everyone here is in love with our country, and we do as much as we can in our very different corners. But I want to appeal to each and every one of you to pray for our province, to pray for our people, and to put it in your heart. And I know that people get excited when it's election season. When it's done, they forget about us. But I'm appealing to each and every one of you that when we put you in position, that you continue to pray for wisdom. Because I think a lot of times that we forget about praying for wisdom, because God grants you the blessing, but we forget to thank God and to give us the wisdom to carry the project forward. So I do thank you, each and every one of you. Very important things that you're doing for our country. And we'd like to thank you on behalf of Cape Town Stories and the Bridge. Thank you very much.
Can we, I just want to say we're not going to have a VIP section. They're going to eat with us, but can we allow them to go to the coffee shop first?